how to start this. Like, nothing feels right of how to start this. And so, hi, my name is Megan, and yeah, that's all I can think of. So, as you can tell from the title of this video, it's going to be different than my other few videos that are out, and it's gonna be hard to get through. So, I first wanted to kind of put out a trigger warning and say that I'm gonna talk about my miscarriage. I'm gonna talk in detail about it. I'm gonna talk about what happened. I'm gonna talk about the physical aspects. I'm gonna talk about the mental and emotional aspects. If anyone out there doesn't feel like they have the mental or emotional space in their brain to hear my story, like, please don't listen. You don't have to watch this video to show me that you support me. You don't have to watch this video because you love me. What's most important to me is that you take care of your mental health and your energy above all else. And so if you're not in a space where you want to listen to this, please take care of yourself first. Not that I think that this story is like unique or there's any surprises that you're gonna hear. I think it's, I don't know, pretty typical. And I think that when it comes to miscarriages, and I think that, you know, I share a story very similar to millions of women and men out there. So, like, it's not that. I mean, it's just that. It's sad. Like, it's a really sad story. And so I just want everyone to kind of take a minute and see if you want to come on this journey with me, on this story with me, because the last thing I want to do is like add hurt or pain, or I don't want anyone to pick up my pain. Like, I promise that I am doing everything in my power to heal in the healthiest way that I can. I have a really great support system, and so I'm doing that. And so I don't want anyone to take any of my pain with them. So if you choose to watch this, I am so grateful. But please just leave all of my shit here. Like, don't take any home with you. Everyone has enough of their own stuff to deal with. So that's kind of like my trigger warning. And I don't know if want is the right word. I feel like I need to talk about this because I don't know how to go on like making videos and posting things pretending like nothing happened, because something did happen. Like, I'm not okay. I haven't been okay for a while, you know? So I don't know how to like I don't know how to pretend that, oh, like everything's just the same, you know? So I feel like I need to share this so that then I can start making videos again, and I can start feeling like myself again, I guess. So that's kind of just what I wanted to say at the beginning. So if you're still interested in listening, okay, here we go. Sunday night, I felt some cramping. Not a ton, but a little bit. And I told Edgar, like, I feel like a weird cramp. And he was like, don't do that to me. Like, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. It's just kind of a weird cramping. And so Monday morning we get up. I take Miko to his babysitter. And when I get back, I went to the bathroom and I saw that I was spotting. And I like freaked out right away because when I was pregnant with Miko, I didn't spot at all. And I know every pregnancy is different, and so I didn't want to jump to conclusions, but I was scared. So I texted the nurse practitioner at my OBGYN's office, and she was actually in Greece, and she still texted me back, and she was like, a lot of women bleed. It could be totally fine, but just go to the emergency room just in case. So I drove myself to the emergency room. I didn't want anybody to come with me. I just wanted to focus on myself and my baby, and that was it. And when I got to the ER, I had stopped bleeding. And the person that was working the front desk, he was so sweet and so kind, and he gave me some reassuring words. You know, nothing like everything's going to be fine, but he said to me, we're going to take good care of you. So I got admitted, and they took my urine, they took my blood, they did a pelvic exam, and then they did 2 kinds of ultrasounds, the one that's above and the one that is inside. And you know, I told them everything. There were so many people just, you know, poking and prodding and questions and everything. I was there for like 3 hours, and the bleeding had still subsided. So after all of those tests, I had that ultrasound, and I heard the baby's heartbeat. And I saw, you know, on the screen. And so after like 3 hours of being there, a doctor came in, and he was like, well, you know, you met my staff, and we have done so many tests on you, and he said, I'm here to bring you the good news, and that's everything looks great. He said, your cervix is closed, the baby is the size it's supposed to be and where it's supposed to be, and the heartbeat was good. And he said, so why are you bleeding? And I was like, yeah, that's the question. He said 20% of, I might get these wrong, so I can't remember it right now. But I think he said 20% of pregnant women bleed and everything's fine. I can't remember. So I was so happy and so grateful for everyone at the emergency room. And I went home and I called everybody, and Edgar was freaking out. And when I called him, he was able to focus again at work, and I got to tell everybody how far along I was and that everything looked good. And I was like, I'm gonna take a nap because That was incredibly stressful, and I'm gonna take a nap. So I took a nap and I woke up and I had cramps and I was bleeding a lot. I was bleeding a lot, and I knew. I knew. I called Edgar and I told him that I was bleeding again, and he was like, I'm coming right now. I'm coming. And he said, go back to the ER and I'm coming. I'll be there. So I drove back to the ER. And everybody was there, that was there the first time. And as soon as they saw me, everybody knew. This visit was much different than the first visit. Edgar was with me, but I just kept bleeding. A woman came in and she was a doctor, nurse practitioner maybe. She came in and she sat with me and she just talked with me, and for whatever reason, they couldn't say that I was having a miscarriage. They couldn't say those words. All they could say was, what it seems like is you may be having a miscarriage. So she came and she sat with me and she shared stories, and she told me that it's not my fault. But it's like really hard to, like, of course it's my fault. Like that's how I felt. And I've heard people talk about having a miscarriage, and I would always think, like, of course it's not your fault. Like, that was what I always would think when someone would talk about their miscarriage. But like when it happened to me, I was like, of course it was my fault. I did something. And she told me, it's my body protecting itself. That something could have been very wrong. And instead of, I don't, so then a doctor came in and he said, he was weird, man. He was super weird. He was like a cool doctor, just straight shooting. So he like cussed and stuff. It was a little bit more than I could handle, but he said the same thing. And there's nothing they can do. So Edgar and I left the hospital, and I mean, I was so numb. I was completely numb. I don't even remember. Oh, I do remember the drive home. I stopped at Target so that I could just zone out. I don't even know if I bought anything, but I just didn't want to go home right away. I just felt like once I went home, it was like for sure. So I just like waited as long as I could. I just didn't want it to be real. I just didn't want it to be real. And so I had an appointment with my OBGYN the next day, and Edgar refused. I really wanted, like, the doctors at the hospital to say the words, "It is a miscarriage." But because they weren't able to say that to us, Edgar had this, like, sliver of hope. And it's not that hope is a bad thing. Hope is a beautiful, precious thing. But there wasn't hope. That wasn't on the table. And so he had his hopes up. You know, just wait till you go to the OB and, you know, and see what they say. I had my miscarriage 15 days ago, and I'm still bleeding. They said I could possibly bleed for up to 6 weeks. And every time I go to the bathroom, I'm reminded of all of it. I didn't know that was part of it. I did not know that I would be bleeding and cramping for this long. At my OBGYN appointment, they did confirm that I was having a miscarriage, and then I had to call and break Edgar's heart. The piece of this that I think is talked about even less than miscarriage itself is, like, what the men go through. And obviously, just like women, every man is different. For my partner, for Edgar, this hit him very hard. He would not, like, you know, admit that it happened until way after everyone else. Because it was so hard for him. And he does not want to, like, go there emotionally on camera about everything that he went through. But I do want him to share a little bit of how he felt, because it's so important. And I am so grateful that he has a really great therapist who cares about him. And he went to therapy the other day, and before he went, he said to me, "Babe, I'm gonna go there. Like, I'm gonna go there emotionally with her." And I was just so happy to hear that. And when he came back, it was like a weight had been lifted. And he wanted to share that weight being lifted with me. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. You know, I wish it, like, rubbed off, but it doesn't. So I have to do the work myself, you know. I have to do the work with my therapist, and I have done some, and we're going to do EMDR next visit. I know that I will be okay. I know that I'll always be, like, a little bit changed from this, but I also know that I will be okay. So if you've made it this far, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening to my story. And please take extra good care of yourself today.